Hello and welcome back to Code in 5 Minutes with ZIM. I'm Dr. Abstract. Woohoo! And in this Code in 5 Minutes, we're going to build a mini-map. Oh, let's go to the ZIM site now. And that's at zimjs.com. And we'll press on Code and copy the template. All right, we're going to make a mini-map. Paste this in here. So that will be Minimap, like so. And we're bringing in ZIM 017. We'll put this against black. So this is a black color of the stage and a black outer color. What we're going to do is we're going to bring in a map. So that's a, it's called map.jpg. And it'll come from an assets folder. Can do it. There we go. So that'll get us all ready. Let's see what the template looks like here, just without doing much to it yet. Open in default browser. There it is, against black. So we're dragging that circle. Okay, we'll get rid of the circle. And we will start the timer. Whoa, does that sound good? Let's see, where's that timer? Start. So hopefully you can see that going there. Yeah, all right. We'll start off with a const map is equal to a new pick. Oh dear, how do we get that? That's not a good start. Wasting all this time. Code in 5 minutes, map.jpg. And we'll center that on the stage. My finger, that just came in from the outside, so my fingers are cold. I have to get that warmed up, darn. Center it and we'll drag it, and we're going to drag it with some special things. We'll make it surround :true. That means this boundary right here, boundary :stage. It means that the image will always surround the boundary rather than be within the boundary. And we'll set that so it slides as well. True. And we'll make it on top :false, so that when we pick this up, it doesn't come up over top of our mini map that we're going to add. All right, let's see what we got so far then. We bring it back here and refresh. Oh, a broken picture. Let's see. Maybe I didn't open from, do I have any other browsers open? No, let's try bringing it here. Map.jpg in assets. Spelt assets wrong. Dum, dum, dum. Alrighty, let's try this again. Open in default browser. There she be. And there I am sliding the map. Isn't that nice? So that's built right into the ZIM drag so that that will slide and stay within those bounds. All right, next, if we haven't messed up our timing here, we will go on to make a const minimap is equal to a new container. So this will hold both our picture, a little picture, and well, actually, it'll hold a full-size picture and a viewer. So we'll make that. We won't put give it dimensions yet because it'll take on the size of our map here. Const mini, I guess, is equal to. And we'll copy this new pick right there. And this time we'll add to the mini map. It'll center on a container that has no bounds, otherwise it'll put it in the middle. Anyway, so there we go, add to the mini map. We will also make a viewer. Const viewer is equal to a new rectangle. And it's kind of neat because we'll make this the width and the height of the stage, and then we'll shrink down the whole mini-map. Comma, and we'll make it faint so that we can drag it later. It would be nice. What we're going to do is we're going to drag the big picture and show the mini-map move, or this viewer move, but it would be nice if the viewer could be dragged on as well, and maybe we'll add that after. I don't think we'll get it done in the 5 minutes. Faint, and we'll make it a white background and something like 30, because when we shrink this down, we'll want to be able to see it. And we'll dot center that on the mini map, like so. Now we're going to shrink it down. So mini map dot size. We'll use size. We could use scale or scale 2, but size, the stage of the, or the width of the stage, is that a capital W, times 0.2, for instance. I don't know if that's a capital. I think it's small. I must hit my caps lock. W. Here we go. Got a new keyboard. It's a little bit of a pain sometimes. So we're going to size that. That'll take the width and bring it down to 0.2 the stage. Then we're going to pose it at 30, 30, from the right hand side and the bottom. And let's see what we got. We should have a little mini map down there. There she be. It'd be nice if it had a border. And now when I move this, I want that little viewer to move in there. We can add a border on if we get time, but let's do the movement of the viewer first. And that would be a ticker.add, and we'll add an arrow function. This will run all the time to set the viewer.loc at minus the map.x and minus the map.y. And if you figure that out or think about it, that's what we need there. And let's have a look. Refresh here. And there she be. It's nice, except it goes out of the range there, so it would be good to put a constraint on that. But why don't we pause the timer and call that, right on 5 minutes. Good enough, huh? If you didn't mind it going outside. But let's put a little constraint on that. I'll show you how we can do that. Get a border as well so we can see the mini map a touch better. And the last thing we want to kind of do is make it so that we can drag this part. But in general, there we go. Mini map in 5 minutes. Isn't that beautiful? Oh, ZIM is so easy. Woohoo! Okay, so it might be that we even one day add a mini map component to the game module, because this was kind of fun to make and people might not know how to do it, but there it is. It didn't really take much, did it? Okay, so let's constrain that. So constrain and that value to 0, and then this will be the map.width minus the viewer.width. That's one constraint, and then we'll constrain the other one as well. Basically, it's going to be the same thing, but the heights. And there's height and HEIGHT for both those. I think we need one more bracket in here. All right, let's see. So I'll describe it as we look at it here and be a bit easier. So here we go. Now when we move it over to the side, sure enough, you see how that gets constrained in there? Isn't that nice? So basically what we did is we said this thing should not move the registration point of it, because when we are using loc, it's positioning the registration point of this white rectangle. It will not be less than 0, and it won't be greater than the width of the map minus the viewer's width. And so that's why this little point here will stay there and not go past. Isn't that nice? Okay, so that's got the constraint. Let's put the border, the dark border around this now so that we can see that a little bit better. And that'll basically be a rectangle, a new rectangle. And we will make it the size of the mini, I guess, mini.width. Or is it the mini map? I guess the mini map. Map.width. Yeah, we want the one that's been scaled. So width plus 10, comma, minimap dot height plus 10, like that. And we can locate it at, there's a couple different ways we could do this, but we can locate it at the minimap. But then the 10 that is extra would be on the right and the bottom, so we want to locate it at the minimap and then dot move it minus 5. Also, that would put it on top. Do you want to see what that looks like putting it on top? There it is put on top, but we want it to go down one level. So .ord, that's a short chainable way to change the layer. And -1. Or we could have located in the mini map, comma, the y, comma, the stage, comma, the index number, but probably easier just to use ORD. And now that will be placed one under. That's nice. So sorry we couldn't quite get all of that done in 5 minutes, but we did get the Minimap functionality done, or just playing around with some more stuff here. And the last thing to play around with is dragging the viewer there. So complete that a little bit. So why don't we do that right here? Viewer.drag. We're going to run into a problem where that actually won't drag. Do you want to see it? Can you imagine why? So now it's got the finger. As I roll over, it's wanting to get ready to drag, but I can't drag it. It doesn't seem to go anywhere. It's because this ticker is running all the time and constantly placing the map, or sorry, the viewer at the map's place. So if we comment this out a bit, now it's not placing it, and we come back here and refresh. Now I can pick this up and drag it. But it goes outside of here, so we don't want that to happen. Plus it's no longer moving when I drag the map. All right, so a few things to fix up here. One is, well, why don't we keep this commented and see if we can get the boundary set up. So in this drag, we will use a boundary of 0. So a new boundary object, 0, comma 0, comma. It's going to end up being the same. Remember that the viewer's inside the minimap. The minimap is scaled or sized there, so everything's smaller, but we're really dragging the viewer inside the minimap. So we want it as big as the map, or mini. So mini, well, it's going to end up being basically the same as this stuff right here. Map and mini are both the same size, so that's fine. Basically the width of the map minus the viewer's width, and that'll be the boundary. Paste that in there, and let's see if that drag works. So when I pick this up, oh, it didn't work. Ah, I know why. That's the boundary will operate on the stage. So by default, if you pass in a boundary to the drag, it's working on the stage. What we want to do is say local boundary true, and that means that it will be a boundary based on the container that the viewer is in. So it's on the local container. So we save that up and refresh here, and sure enough, now we can't go outside that, and same with to the right. So once again, we're dragging this inside of the minimap, which is all scaled down, but inside the minimap, 0, 0's in the top left corner, and to the right is the width of the map, or the width of mini. They're the same thing, it's both the picture of the map, minus the viewer's width. So we happen to be able to use that equation again, which is nice. We need to turn off this bit if we picked it up. So we'll use a check variable. Where is it that we're picking up the viewer? There's the viewer. Here's the viewer.drag. So right here we can say let viewing equals false. So we're not viewing at the beginning. And basically we can say in the ticker, if viewing, then we're going to do this, else we're going to do that. And this is what we're doing if we're not viewing. Okay. But how do we know we're viewing or not? We can't just put a variable. What we have to do is say viewer.on, well, it could be mouse down. So when we mouse down on that, we are going to make an arrow function that says viewing is equal to true. Okay. And then when we press up, not mouse up is I could press down off the viewer and then mouse up on the viewer, and it would call that a mouse up. But only when we press up, which also means that if we wanted to, we can change this to press. ZIM has a press down, which is the same as press up, which makes this look a little bit better. Or sorry, press down, which is the same as mouse down. and therefore this both has the word press in it. Maybe seems a bit nicer, and viewing is false at that point. So you see what we've done there. When we press down, we're viewing. When we press up, we're no longer viewing. And therefore, this will only work if we're not viewing. So if we're viewing, it's going to do this, but if we're not viewing, then it will do that. What that means is we should be able to now drag the rectangle and drag this. So if I refresh here, I drag this and that's still moving, but if I pick up the rectangle, I can make it move. When I let go, though, it snaps back to, again, positioning it here. But that'll be okay once we make this big map move to the right place. So that's done right in here, which is really just the reverse of what we did before. We would say map.loc, and we're going to locate that at the viewer.x, I guess minus the viewer.x, because they're linked in that manner, and minus the viewer.y. So this will directly put it there, and we should be fine. So we refresh here. When I move this, it moves. When I pick this up, now the map is moving to the top left corner. And pick it up and drag it. Okay, but it's a bit jittery. You see how if I move this, it's making me motion sickness. It's going too quickly. We'll want to add some damping. We don't really notice it in this little rectangle down here as we drag. It's not really as jittery, but the jittery gets magnified as it gets bigger. So it would be good to add some damping. In other words, as I drag this, this won't go directly there, but it gets damped. So in ZIM, we use the damp class. Const damp x is equal to new damp. This is a small equation, but it's a tricky equation to figure out. So ZIM does that equation for us. By default, it's going to go 0.1 of the way there. We can adjust the damping too, which we may have to do, I'm not sure. We have to damp both the x and y, and they're each an individual damp object. Then down in here, we say the damp object, damp x dot convert. That's how you convert the damping. So instead of going directly to minus the viewer's x, it's going to go 0.1 of the way there each time. And there you go, in the ticker. It's important to use damping in a ticker. And then we do the damp y dot convert is the method to call, and that converts it into a damping thing, and we need one more bracket there. All right, let's have a look. This will mostly work, but there's going to be some issues with it. So we do that, and now if I pick this up, oh, there's that nice damping. Isn't that beautiful? There's a couple problems, though. One, I don't know if you noticed, but the first time that I pick this up, the map moves. So if I've moved the map this way and I pick it up, the map moves. That's one thing. And the other thing is when I move this about, it's okay if I wait until the damping's finished, then it stays there. But if I don't wait, you see how I drag that, and then the rectangle seems to, when I let go, the rectangle goes back. That's because we've stopped the damping, but then the map gets, it didn't have time to finish where it wants to damp to. Okay, so a way around that, it's not an easy thing to fix really. You could wait until the damping finishes and then bring back the ticker for the movement. That runs into problems if you try and pick up the map immediately right after. You get a conflict. Another way is just sort of reduce the damping. So the first parameter is where this damping begins. It's called an immediate parameter. We can set that to null at the moment and then change the damping. Say if we changed it to 0.3, that means it's going to go quicker to the location, and that one issue won't be as apparent. So now when I move the rectangle and let go, there's hardly any little jostle. It's just a little one. But the damping isn't quite as nice. It's still smoother than it was before, but the damping in here isn't as strong, so it's still kind of fast moving. So I'm going to bring that back to 0.2. Its default is 0.1, which was lovely. Let's see how 0.2 is. 0.2 is probably fine. It's a little bit better. You can't really tell because you're not operating it. And again, you know, if we throw it, we do get a bit of back movement on the rectangle, but it's not that noticeable if you're just doing it at normal speeds. Maybe even get away with a bit more damping at a 1.5. Oh, sorry, at a 0.15. 0.15. Yeah, there we go. All right, anyway, you guys were expecting a 5-minute video here, and here I am, like, doing an explore practically. All right, so I am seeing a bit of backlash, but I'm getting a nice damping. I don't know. Maybe 0.2 is better, but that's fine. Let's just leave it at that. The other issue, though, was if we move it like so and then press on it, I'm getting it move like that, and that's a difficult bug. That is because if we cut off the damping, as soon as I mouse up, the damping is being cut off. Okay, let's see, how does this work? There's a previous damping probably. So when I pick this up, it didn't finish the damping. Anyway, the solution is when you press down, you need to tell the damping equation, because it got cut off previously due to us not waiting for the damping to finish. Therefore, its damping location is at a different location than it should be, than when we start. And that's why it's animating to where it should be. So the answer to that is when we press down, we need to change the damping equation to an immediate, actually either one, in the press up or press down. We could have probably done either, but we'll do it in the press down. Please make the damping go to its current location. And the way you do that is damp x dot immediate, and you tell it the value. So that would be minus viewer dot x, wherever that is. And that way the damping equation won't try and finish off the previous damping. And we do that with the same with the damping y. So you probably would not have known that. It's a very tricky bug to do with damping. Sometimes it happens when you very first damp. Like if your position for damping by default is 0, 0, you might run into a problem where it tries to damp from 0, 0 to, say, a center position or something like that. At which point you would need to put the center position right in here. That's why we have under the damp, the very first parameter is where are you starting? In our case, I guess it doesn't matter, because I'm not sure why it doesn't matter. Maybe it would matter if we pick up the thing right away. Let's see if that does matter. And if it does, then we'll have to adjust. Okay, so if I refresh, probably won't matter if I do that, but if I refresh, let's see what happens when I pick this up. No, it seems to be in the right place. Okay, so we don't need to set it up in the first place. Not totally sure why. But did this help us? Let's see. This thing. Oh, we're doing that on a press down. Ah, that's probably why, because we put that in the press down right away. Okay, so if we didn't have that in the press down, let's have a look and see if there's a problem right away at the beginning. Yeah, there is. Okay, so you see that? Badoom. And we get rid of that problem if we said start with minus the viewer dot x right in here, and minus the viewer dot y right in there. Okay. And this would solve the beginning, but it wouldn't solve ever after. So see that? I picked it up and it didn't go anywhere. So the damping had calculated that it's going to be in the middle rather than 0, 0 at the start. All right, so that's that tricky bit. And in the ZIM damp documentation, we talk about that. And so if you read the docs on the damp, then that'll be better. We don't even need to put it here, though. We could. We don't need to put it there because we have added this right to the press down, and therefore it's going to immediately set it on the press down anyway. So if we do that, we're good here, and we're good if we change the position and press. No problem. Okay, so I pressed and it didn't jump. Yay! Minimap, Minimap, woohoo! And ladies and gentlemen, you know what this has been. What has it been? It has been a code in 5 minutes with ZIM. I hope you had fun and that all made sense for you. It probably did for the most part. I am Dr. Abstract. We'd love to see you here at ZIM, so join our forum, zimjs.com/forum, or forum.zimjs.com, or join us on Discord, zimjs.com/discord, and have a great day or night. Cheers!